Dean Legge going to wrap up Georgia's win over South Carolina, a 40-13 win for the Dawgs over the Cox. Certainly one of those games where, if you're Georgia, I thought they got off to a really good start, and then the change of quarterback just made things awkward for a second or two. I do think Stetson has earned the ability to play. I'm not sure I would play him right when Kirby Smart did, but when you get up, when you win the game by 27, 4 touchdowns, you're doing something right. I've managed to forget all the statistical stuff over in the seats, but JT Daniels, 3 touchdowns, another 300 yards tonight. Really was a solid performance from JT. There were times, I gotta tell you, when JT did not seem on, and I think that was after the interception from Stetson, and it's not Stetson's fault. I mean, JT was just off for a moment or two. But there are times when you're like, whoa, JT's not, doesn't seem like it's that great. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the game, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and just a beating. It was not the beating that Las Vegas predicted. It was not the beating a lot of Georgia people would have liked to have seen. But South Carolina scored 13 points. All 13 were off the 3 turnovers from Georgia. If you ask me, the biggest problem / question mark coming out of this game, Georgia's not crisp at times on offense the way that you'd like to be, and the turnovers are the problem. Obviously, you have to be a little bit okay with your starting quarterback throwing interceptions, because if you throw the football, you're going to throw interceptions. But tonight, they basically, I wouldn't say they handed Carolina 13 points, but they certainly gave them 6 from turnovers. And it's not, what you want. Georgia's defense they're really good. They scored again. 3 straight games of scoring. They did not outscore the opponent. And there were Kirby Smart is cool with playing one-on-one defense and getting beat. Like, he's not cool with getting beat, but he's cool with saying, hey, we're going to play one-on-one. That's the way that we're going to play at times. And either you're going to beat us or you're not. Well, tonight, Carolina's Tucker High. Hello. Very happy for him to have his effort as a Tucker High grad. Josh Van's a good player, period. And I've known that for a long time now. But, Georgia cannot allow that many losses in one-on-ones. But if you're going to play the way the Dawgs play, which is extremely competitive, they are really getting after the passer. I felt bad for Leak Doty tonight. I mean, he was getting his ass whipped, but he stuck in there and really fought. So there were some good things for Carolina in this game, but they are not in the same universe as Georgia. I mean, if you run into a Carolina person, they try to spin this as like some sort of weird win. No, it's not. I mean, they were dominated. And this is a Georgia team that, when you look across the landscape today, you see Clemson struggle. Clemson just might not have an offense, okay? It's not there right now. It's what it felt like against Georgia, and those things get magnified when you're playing Georgia. But Clemson just doesn't look like they've got an offense at all. And, Trevor Lawrence is not walking back through that door. This is a game problem, if not multi-year problem for them. It doesn't take away Georgia's win over them. Then you look at Ohio State struggling. And then obviously the big game with Bama and the Gators, Alabama had a very hard time stopping the run. They just didn't look good there, and they should have known, and maybe they did, maybe Nick Saban knew. It's tough down there in the swamp to play, and when the Gators have any sort of momentum at all, which they had after their team was booed in the first half, it's tough to play down there. It's tough to play here. It's tough to play on the road in this league. It just is. It's a complicated league. It's difficult. Here's Georgia now. I thought JT needed to play as much as he could. That's why I didn't. Again, you can have respect for what Stetson's done while questioning why he was in there at the moment he was. Because it really felt like Georgia had total control of the game, and then it just sort of left. I mean, that's just what it was. I think you can play Stetson when you're up 24-3 or 28-3. I mean, we know what he can do, and he has earned that time. I just don't think necessarily he earned it in that moment. And part of that's because, just for me, having played sports in college, although at a far lower level than this, when your guy's there, you really want him to play. I mean, JT's not played enough this season. He's missed a game. Now he's played of the 12 quarters Georgia has played, he's only played in like 7. So you want him to get out there and get it going with, A.D. Mitchell really looks good. Brock Bowers. This is a very good receiving core. They seem to be more comfortable right now, Georgia, throwing it than they do running it. And then you look around and you say, hey, well, they almost had 200 yards rushing tonight. I want to see Kendall Milton have a breakout game, a breakout performance. He's got what it takes, but he's got to show it on the field. Now, it's time, and he's got to know that too. That kid can be a special player. I want to see Kendall Milton evolve into the dominant running back I feel like he can be. And maybe that takes time too. I mean, Kendall had time last season where he couldn't play because of injury. But I don't know why I got sidetracked on Kendall. More than anything else, I would say Georgia just seems more comfortable this second passing the ball. What we will see as the season progresses is a Georgia team that's going to have to be able to run better. They ran pretty well tonight. It wasn't exactly what you wanted, but it got them where they had to go. It just wasn't ideal. I mean, they weren't ripping off runs. James Cook, I bet Carolina is so happy to never see James Cook again because he ripped them up constantly, it felt like. And then there was stuff here and there, but this was a totally dominant performance. I mean, when you outscore your conference foe by 4 touchdowns, you've done something right. And don't get it twisted. I mean, this was totally a whipping in every form, and this is back-to-back whippings. I mean, you want to talk about the 2019 upset. I mean, I want to talk about, it's not based in reality. It was a, once in a decade phenomenon that happened. It happens. You get crazy upsets, but, Georgia has shown that it is far better than this South Carolina program is going to have to recruit better and get better versus where they're at right now, because this second they're okay on the defensive line, but they just, to be where they were 10 years ago, they're a long, long, long way away from that. What will give them solace is that they probably can play with Clemson. Now, I don't know if they're going to beat Clemson, but they probably can play with Clemson, and that is going to freak those Clemson taters out big time. They are probably in a full panic right now, looking forward and saying, oh my God, we could still get into the playoff, but with what Carolina has shown, which is the ability to run, we could have some real trouble because we can't score. So it's, you never want to get, this was a solid beating. Georgia's played 3 teams that were undefeated, and they've beaten all 3. I don't know if that means anything or not. I think they are firmly the number 2 team in the country. Could you make the case that they're number 1? If they had beaten South Carolina 60-10, yeah. But, that was a good win for Alabama today. But Alabama has issues. This is not the Alabama from a season ago. And the Gators, that's going to be a tough out. There's no certainty that Georgia wins that game. So, Georgia just needs to keep winning as much as possible. Now, you got the Vanderbilt game coming up. Again, JT, let's see it. There are times when he really is an exceptional quarterback. And just it's easy. And that's what you want, easy, as many easy points as you can get. And, I do want to say, too, the special teams that Georgia's been playing, Jay Camarda has been outstanding. He has had an outstanding season. He continues this, he will get drafted, and he will be on a roster in the NFL. The leg talent has been there. Now we've seen the consistency. It's just been too good lately this season. Really hot, muggy tonight. More muggy than hot. Georgia, Carolina weather. But I just, if you're Georgia, you keep rolling on. Everybody else doesn't look so hot. Alabama looks good. Georgia looks good. The Gators, I think, showed that they can play with the top teams. They did not show they could beat the top teams. There's a lot of issues there with tackling. But Alabama's going to have to stop the run. Alabama's defense is not what it has been in the past. And Georgia's going to have to be more consistent on offense. But there's not a lot to complain about when you win by 4 touchdowns in the SEC. I don't care who you're playing. You're going to build to the Auburn and Arkansas games. Those are going to be tough back-to-backs. Kentucky did not look good tonight. I thought that might be a game, but maybe not. So Georgia's got margin for error, but they got to use it. They need to play more effective on offense. Defense looks pretty good if we're being honest. All right, we'll see you over on the website. Dean Legge from Dog Post, signing off.